Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome back to Avowed. Last time we left off, Randy was doing what Randy does best, dying dramatically. I imagined I would get a hero's welcome. Turns out it was more of a shoot first, ask questions later kind of situation. As I'm out, I start to see what I believe to be my soul being sucked into the strange light inside this icicle thing. While I'm floating towards whatever that is, I get stopped by that strange voice in Randy's head. She tells me that an arrow killed me, but I can't help but think that part was rather obvious as I gripped the arrow while I was falling to the ground in a dramatic death scene. But she does mention that it was poisoned apparently. She offers to send me back to life, but in return I must find us and free us from our prison. I'm not sure what us is supposed to mean, but I accept because why not? She sends me back, and the first thing I see as I come back from the dead is a neat poster saying subscribe to Envy or else I will shave all cats and start a global trend called naked fluff. Imagine a world where every cat looks like a raw chicken with eyes. Is that a future you really want? I didn't think so. So do the right thing for everyone, people. Anyways, I wake up and I see the scaly fella Kai and this one lady that looks scared for her life. I thank her for trying to save me, even though it was that strange voice in my head that saved my life. But if I say that some strange voice in my head saved me, everyone would most likely think that I'm clinically insane. Everyone was so confused that I pretty much died, but I didn't. Randy's back, and this time I've got a burning desire to not get shot again. So we decide to uncover the mystery of who killed me, cause, it's not every day you get to solve your own murder. Most people are content with solving crossword puzzles or figuring out why their Wi-Fi is slow. But not in this situation. Randy's out here playing detective in a world where arrows come with free poison and everyone's got a secret agenda. But before we dive into that mess, I figure I should probably check in with the Watcher to make sure that my mental health isn't completely shattered after dying and coming back to life like some kind of budget Jesus. I mean, I'm pretty sure hearing voices and surviving assassination attempts isn't mentioned when signing up to be a hero. But hey, neither is stealing eggplants, but that hasn't stopped me yet. On my way to find the Watcher, I stumble upon some ruins left behind by these godless folks. The architecture's interesting if you're into crumbling rocks and the faint smell of regret. Kai gives me a warning about the place.
First rule of godless ruins, don't touch anything.
I semi-acknowledge the warning and proceed to this glowing ball thing. It ended up being another vision of this voice in my head that spoke about some random bullshit. I didn't pay much attention and I'm sure it's not that relevant. Anyways, I start walking away when I spot this fancy looking axe just laying around. Now, I'm not one to pass up free loot, so of course I take it. That's when I suddenly remember Kai's warning about not touching anything. The one that I semi-acknowledged and promptly ignored. Turns out the skeletons in this place don't take kindly to axe thieves. Who knew? They proceed to butcher me in what can only be described as a tragic ballet of incompetence. I mean, if I'm going to die, I thought it would at least be cinematic like the previous time I died. So I come back to life again and I decide that maybe I should avoid the ruins for now. Turns out my little wand isn't exactly cut out for skeleton warfare. Instead, I head over to the Watcher's place because apparently dying twice in one day isn't enough to make me rethink my life choices. The first thing I do is steal all her cabbage. After that, I proceed to look around for other things to steal because why not stop at cabbage? I start walking to the Watcher. She makes me repeat a few things after her, the usual mystical bullshit. Probably some ancient incantation or maybe just her grocery list. Either way, I say what she says. She notices the voice in my head because apparently my soul's got more red flags than a communist parade. She went on and basically said that my soul had no chime and that there is a thorn jabbing at my essence, working its way to the surface. And then she says,
Better luck in your next life.
I take what she says half-heartedly because Randy's stronger than that. He's not about to let some old lady with the fondness for soul-related insults ruin his day. So what if my soul's got no chime and there's a thorn jabbing at my essence? Randy's got a dream and a questionable moral compass. He's going to live his best life, thorn or no thorn. Anyways, I start heading off to have a chat with the ambassador, and I see my good old friend Garrick.
Right. But you're here. Gods, am I glad to see you.
You know, I've really bonded with this little blue fella. I mean, just look at him. Beard with 3 braids, looking like he's about to drop the hottest folk album of the year. I wish to grow a beard as majestic as that one day. Until then, I'll just have to settle for being the guy who steals people's cabbage and dies a lot. I go and start talking with the ambassador, and in short words, he tells me about the sickness spreading across the land. You know, the usual apocalypse stuff, nature's turning into lifeless, bloodthirsty monsters, and everyone's about 2 bad decisions away from becoming a walking horror show. Apparently that's why I'm here, to find the root of this mess and yank it out before everyone dies. But before I save the world, I've got a more pressing matter to attend to. Finding the assassin who killed me and unaliving him, because if there's one thing Randy is good at, it's holding a grudge. Kai mentions there's a guy who's a really good tracker, so we go find him, because if anyone's going to help me track down my would-to-be killer, it's a guy who probably spends way too much time tracking things. So we find the tracker Marius in a dodgy looking bar, you know, the kind of place where the stools have questionable stains in them and the air smells like regret and bad life choices. I love it. But before I can do anything remotely productive, I notice there's a kitchen and, well, Randy being Randy, I help myself to the cabbage. Because if there's one thing I've learned in life, is that free food tastes better. Even if it's just a sad wilted cabbage. Anyways, we go over to Marius, who's in the middle of a heated argument with this guy who looks like he just walked out of a pride parade and into a bar fight. Marius casually drops a bomb saying that he poisoned the guy's drink before he came in, you know, to teach him a lesson or whatever.
Oh, I could feel it. Gods, you.
And he just walks out. I did want to ask Marius if he was bluffing, but I thought I would keep it a mystery. I welcome Marius to the crew. Together we head off to find the location of where the assassin shot me. We climb up this tall building because apparently assassins love a good view while they ruin your day. We find an arrow and a pot of poison just sitting there. Naturally, I assume that this is the crime scene. Marius recognizes the poison from a gang in the sketchy part of town, but let's be real, Randy's an OG. The sketchy part of town isn't really the sketchy part of town to Randy, it's just a Tuesday. If anything, the gang should be worried about Randy showing up and stealing all their cabbage. On my way there, some weird looking, I think is a child, stops me and warns me about going into the gang's territory. I assure the little Sasquatch that I can handle myself. After all, I'm an Imperial envoy with a wand and a questionable sense of self-preservation. What's the worst that can happen? I proceed into the gang's territory and this big fella tells me to watch my step around here.
Natural. Best watch your step around here, envoy. This is my district.
Now, I didn't like the way he said that. It had this whole I'm tough and you're not vibe going on. So I decided to light the big boy on fire, because nothing says I'm not to be messed with like spontaneous combustion. Unfortunately, it didn't go as I thought it would go. Anyways, I keep walking to the quest objective and I overhear some people having a conversation.
Not for us, you're not.
What's a man gotta do to get his needs met around here?
If you think we'll roll over after you steal from us.
That's exactly what I think.
Now, I mean, if you're going to be running a business like that, you have got to expect some snags in the road. People stealing, awkward negotiations, the occasional STD, it's all part of the hustle. But I don't think that's a great way to run a business. It's like running a bakery and refusing to sell bread to someone because once they stole a croissant. It's bad for customer loyalty. Anyways, I walk off minding my own business when I stumble upon these people trying to rob a bald guy. The other scaly fella tells me to walk away, which of course is my cue to attack, because if there's one thing Randy's good at, it's ignoring good advice. I end up killing one in the entire sketchy part of town with absolute ease. First try, no sweat at all. But yeah, I totally showed that little Sasquatch boy how I handle myself. Turns out, when you've got a wand and a complete disregard of consequences, you're basically unstoppable. I finally killed the big boy I was trying to set alight earlier. I told you I didn't like the way he said that to me. I head off to find more clues about my killer, and I stumble upon a dead assassin with a note warning him that I'm on the hunt for my killer. The note leads me to the Temple of Ondra because of course my murder has something to do with religion. Nothing says divine justice than a holy hitman, right? I go there and I start talking to this one lady who works there, or at least I assume she works there. She's got that whole temple employee vibe going on, you know, like she's one incense stick away from enlightenment. But Randy's not here for small talk. I almost immediately accuse her of being involved with my murder, and well, let's just say things escalated quickly and I butchered the big girl. Thankfully, I found the same letter in her inventory, because if I hadn't, that would have been a very awkward conversation with the temple's HR department. After what felt like an eternity of fighting assassin guards, spiders, and solving puzzles that made me question my life choices, I finally find the tunnel's end, and there he is, my killer. I ask him why he wanted to kill me, but it feels like he's speaking in riddles, like he's auditioning for a role in a Shakespeare play. At this point, I'm too tired for cryptic bullshit, so I decide to be the better man. After all, I'm supposed to be the hero in this story, right? I choose not to kill him, instead I send his ass to jail. See, I'm a good person. Okay, fine. Maybe I had a momentary lapse of judgment and tried to fight him first. But in my defense, he shot me with a poisoned arrow, so I think I'm allowed one do-over. Heroism is a journey, not a destination. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed me solving my own murder. The big boy is now facing justice in a jail cell. Not bad for a guy who started the day stealing cabbages and ended it with questioning his life choices. I hope you guys have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of the day it is. You guys must stay legendary. Cheers, guys.